Hello, my name is Felina Rivera. I'm with Bussett Legal Group, and I'm here today to go over the pending legislation, 2021 legislation pertaining to marijuana here in Oklahoma. I've provided a spreadsheet of the pending bills, and you can follow along with those. I'll probably skip through some of those and try to just hit the highlights. We'll first start with House Bill 1017, authored by Representative Phillips. It relates to criminal law. The bill proposes that suspended sentences may not be revoked for medical marijuana license holders. There are a couple of exceptions that you'll want to take a look at. House Bill 1908, authored by Fettgatter, pertains to taxes. The Oklahoma Tax Commission will charge the Oklahoma State Health Department with a 1.5% tax of gross collected proceeds, and that's for their efforts to assess, collect, and enforce that 7% sales tax. Moving on to House Bill 1960, also authored by Fettgatter. This is the medical marijuana delivery bill. This was previously part of House Bill 3228 back in May of 2020. That was passed by the House and Senate, but vetoed by Governor Stitt. In part because of this delivery provision. So that's been separated as its own bill now. The bill allows for delivery to private residences only and excludes delivery to schools and campuses. The deliveries must be made within a 10-mile radius of dispensaries unless none are available, and then they must be in the same county. It, of course, requires a transporter license and is limited to only one delivery per day. The amount will be limited by the State Commissioner of Health. The next one, also authored by Fettgatter, is House Bill 1961. This will be of big interest, I'm sure. It's the Oklahoma Adult Access to Marijuana Act. This is essentially Oklahoma's newest recreational bill for adult usage. The age limit is 21 and older. It decriminalizes possession, purchase, and transport of 1 ounce or less of marijuana, and it also has an excise tax of 15% in addition to general sales tax for non-medical marijuana patients. The bill does specify that it does not impact the rights of medical marijuana patients. I've already seen some complaints online about this bill perhaps limiting medical marijuana patients from being able to grow their own medicine, but that is not the case. This will not impact the rights of medical marijuana patients. The proposed ballot language for this is on the spreadsheet, and if it's passed, it would go into effect January 1st of 2023. One more from Fettgatter, that's House Bill 2004. This was also part of that House bill that was filed in May and passed the House and Senate and vetoed by Stitt. The highlights of this one include increased privacy rights for patients' records. You'd now be required to get a warrant to get that information. It establishes a standard of review in family law cases. Medical marijuana license holders, as you know, cannot be denied custody or visitation, and neglect is not presumed unless, quote, by clear and convincing evidence, end quote, that the behavior of the medical marijuana license holder creates a risk of irreparable harm. So that will be of interest in family law. The proposed bill also clarifies the 1,000 feet from school rule by providing measurement. There are actually a couple of bills with conflicting methods of measurement, so it will be interesting to see which one of those wins out. One thing I found of interest in this particular bill was that the definition of owner has changed to now include persons or entities that receive more than 10% of the gross monthly profits or income. So those out-of-state investors who are receiving more than 10% will need to be on the lookout for those changes. Now, this does exclude those who are already in those types of arrangements, but going forward, they would be considered owners. And it would still require disclosure of financial interests to the department upon their request. Also of interest in this new big bill is registered to conduct business as a medical marijuana licensed business will now mean that you are also in good standing with the Oklahoma Tax Commission in addition to the Secretary of State. They do allow for dispensaries to get into payment plans with the Oklahoma Tax Commission to be considered in good standing. The department will also be requiring written standards, standard operating procedures if this bill passes. The bill also removes the GPS tracker and transportation requirements, now deferring to the department, and reduces that annual fee for transporter agent licenses from $100 a year to $25. There are a lot of details in that bill, so you'll want to take a look. Fettgatter actually did author one more, House Bill 2179, which creates an animal medical marijuana patient license for $100 a year, and it will be issued by Oklahoma Vets in good standing with the State Board of Veterinary Medicine. It's limited to applicants 21 and over and is also limited to edibles, tinctures, and topicals. Representative McDougal in House Bill 2216 has authored a bill that would allow out-of-state patients to legally purchase medical marijuana in the state of Oklahoma without obtaining an OMMA license, and this would require OMMA to publish a list of states that authorize medical marijuana use and their images of certificates for those states. Also authored by McDougal in House Bill 2217 is medical marijuana businesses that are in unincorporated lands must now be in land zoned as agricultural if they are zoned at all. Moving on to House Bill 2482, authored by Fricks, this bill would prevent municipal employees from being issued a medical marijuana business license. An elected officials would be able to obtain a medical marijuana business license, but would be required to abstain from voting on related matters. House Bill 2646, authored by Eccles, is similar to the same bill authored by Fettgatter in House Bill 2004, both of which had been previously presented back in May in House Bill 3228, that bill that was vetoed by Stitt. There are a few substantive changes to Eccles' proposal that differ from Fettgatter's proposal. You'll want to take a look at the details in the spreadsheet. The main differences being that there are outlined procedures for requesting administrative hearings in Eccles' proposal, and Eccles' proposal would prohibit OMMA from contracting with testing facilities that are owned by medical marijuana business owners or their family members. So take a look at some of my notes on that in that spreadsheet for more details. Eccles also authored House Bill 2674, which proposes to move the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority from under the Oklahoma State Department of Health to the Able Commission for Oversight. House Bill 2763, authored by Ford, would allow for drive-throughs. I know some exist already, but this would make that clear. House Bill 2817, authored by Snead, pertains to business-to-business transactions and would prohibit using cash, requiring the state insurance department to issue performance bonds. That one is a little complex, so you'll want to take a look at that directly as well. Moving on to some of the Senate bills being proposed. Senate Bill 174, authored by Senator Rader, outlines the medical marijuana lab director qualifications. Senate Bill 442, authored by Senator Dahm, authorizes medical marijuana patients to apply for, obtain, and hold a handgun license, making it clear that you cannot be denied a license solely for having a medical marijuana patient license. Senate Bill 445 by Senator Paxton provides another measurement for determining the distance between a school and a dispensary, and he also sneaks in a provision that restores criminal penalties for businesses who sell to non-licensed individuals, and this making it clear it would be in addition to fees. Paxton also authored Senate Bill 459, which adds law enforcement duties and caring for the elderly and handicapped to, quote, safety-sensitive jobs. He also clarifies that contractors and volunteers may be subject to drug testing if that's in their contract and they're engaging in similar work that an employee would be required to do that drug testing. Senate Bill 522, authored by Senator Taylor, requires OMMA to contract with third-party vendors to help carry out their duties, hoping to increase compliance, I'm sure. Senate Bill 814, authored by Bergstrom, pertains to criminal law, and it exempts marijuana possession from felony possession for repeat offenders. Other news outside of the pending legislation is that OMMA awarded a contract to the Florida-based company Metrc in September of 2020, and that's expected to launch in February, that seed-to-sale system, so be on the lookout for that. OMMA also contracted in August with the Oklahoma lab Metis, which will establish some best practices for the 23 licensed medical marijuana labs in the state. And 3 pieces of federal legislation to be on the lookout for. First is the MORE Act, the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which removes marijuana from Schedule 1 and eliminates penalties for manufacturing, distribution, and possession. That has actually already passed the House in December and is going on to the Senate. The Safe Banking Act is also up for review, which would prohibit federal banking regulators from penalizing banks for providing banking services to marijuana businesses. And then last, the States Act, strengthening the 10th Amendment through Entrusting States Act, eliminates regulatory controls and administrative, civil, and criminal penalties under the Controlled Substances Act for certain marijuana-related activities, as long as they comply with state and tribal law, and requires Government Accountability Office to study and report the effects of marijuana legislation on traffic safety. And that is a quick review of everything pending that I was able to review. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am at Bussett Legal Group, and I can be reached at Felina@bussettlegal.com. Thank you.